So, today is Youth Day. And I know exactly what most of us are doing right now. Some of you are still in bed. And some of you are planning a braai. Some of you woke up and saw that, wait a second, it's a public holiday. And then said thank you to your ancestors and went straight back to sleep. And honestly, I am not one to judge. The ancestors, our ancestors, did work hard for that nap. So nap away, man. But before the braai, I need 10 minutes of your time, because the story behind today is one of the most important stories you can know about yourself. Welcome to the Daily Development Dose. And today, on June 16, we're talking about what exactly this day means. Not the public holiday version. The real one. Let's go back. Let's track back. Let's go a little bit back. Maybe not a little bit. Let's rewind to 50 years ago. 1976 in Soweto. The Soweto Uprising. Did I say Soweto? I said Soweto, didn't I? I did. But you know what? Nobody's judging. Cool. 1976, the apartheid government had been running something called Bantu Education the Bantu Education Act since 1953. Or Bantu. The Bantu Education since 1953. And if you've never heard that name before, you need to know it now. Because Bantu education wasn't just an inferior education. It was deliberately inferior. Designed to be the man who architected it, Hendrik Verwoerd. Crazy how we still have a street named after Hendrik Verwoerd. I wonder what the namers of the street really think about Hendrik Verwoerd, since it's still Hendrik Verwoerd Street in Centurion. Who later became the Prime Minister of South Africa. He literally said in Parliament that there is no place for black people. To use the accent. I can't use the accent. There is no place for black people in the European community above the level of certain forms of labor. He didn't say labor. He said labor. So, Hukom, he asked, should black children be taught math they will never use? That was the system your parents or your grandparents grew up under. If that makes you angry, it should. It should make you angry every time you think about it. In the 1970s, 1976 to be specific, the government went further. They announced that half of all subjects in black schools would now be taught in Afrikaans. Not the language of the students. Certainly not the language of their homes or their streets or their communities. The language of the oppressor. Used as a tool of control. And the students said, nah. Or like Consuelo would say, no. Now, I need you to hold something. The people who organized the June 16 march were not politicians. They weren't adults. They were teenagers. High school students. Some of them the exact age as the people listening to this right now. They formed something called the SASM, which is short for the South African Students Movement. They organized, they planned, and on June 16, 1976, 50 years ago, somewhere between 10 and 20,000 of them marched through Soweto. And the police opened fire on the children. This reminds me of a song that I actually never really understood, or I do understand, but I never really listened to like the words of it. By Nas in an album he released in 2018, 19. The cop shot the kid, the cop shot the cop shot the cop shot the kid, 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 and the cop shot the kids. Hector Pieterson was only 12 years old. 12. He was among the first to be shot, and the photograph of him being carried by a fellow student, Antoinette Sithole, his sister, running beside them, her face a scream, became one of the most powerful images of the history of human rights. It went around the world. It said, "This is what apartheid looks like," or "This is what apartheid looked like." This is a terrible Afrikaans accent. Okay, cool. I'll just keep moving. What those kids did that day and the movement they ignited contributed to the international pressure that eventually brought apartheid down. Teenagers, no vote, no platform, no power except their numbers and their refusal. That's what June 16 cost. That's what it bought. So when you sit with that and think about it properly, I need you to do so with the image of what sacrifice was made for you to have a holiday, for you to have a nap today, for you to have a braai today. Now, here's a part that might make some people uncomfortable, and I need you to stay with me, because this part matters. June 16 holds a different weight depending on who you are. If you're black in South Africa, this is a story that lives with your body, whether you knew about the details or not. The inherited grief of a system that looked at your grandparents and decided they were worth less. The deep, unspoken knowing that freedom you have today was bought with blood that wasn't yours to give. That weight is real. And naming it doesn't make you bitter, it makes you clear. And if you are white in South Africa, and I say this not with anger, but with honesty, this day is also yours, not as guilt, but more as responsibility. The Bantu Education Act didn't happen in any other country. It happened here. Families benefited from that system. Better schools, better opportunities, the compound interest of decades of advantage. And that is not an accusation, it's just history. And knowing the full history is what lets us build something that actually lasts. Because here's the thing, we cannot heal from what we refuse to name. South Africa has a habit of wanting to move forward without being fully honest about what happened. And we want the unity without the truth. And it doesn't work like that. It never does. It never has. June 16 is an invitation for all of us to know the story, the whole story, and to decide what we do with it. So what do we actually do with it? The students of 1976 didn't wait for permission. They were young. They had no conventional power. And they changed the course of history. That template is still available to you. And I'm not saying go march. If you must, of course, then sure. But I'm not incentivizing you to go march. What I am saying is the principle is still true. Young people acting from conviction in their own sphere of influence can change things. So here's what that looks like in 2026, 50 years later. Mentor someone younger than you. You don't have to have everything figured out to be someone's guide. You just need to have walked a little further down the road. Your younger sibling, your cousin, the kid in your street, you have something to give. Pass it on. That knowledge survives and that knowledge serves. Be excellent where you are. Representation is not just inspiration. It is permission. When someone who looks like you, sounds like you, comes from where you come from, makes it somewhere, it tells you that the next generation has its doors open. Your excellence in your field, your classroom, your job, your craft is a political act, whether you intend to do it or not. Have the honest conversation with people who look like you and with people who don't. The uncomfortable ones. It becomes especially uncomfortable with people who don't look like you, but you must have it. I once asked a colleague of mine, I adore her very much. Yeah, she brings the stuff to the table for conversation, and how she responded to my question was kind of satisfying in a way. She's an Afrikaans woman, a white woman in South Africa. I asked her what she thinks is wrong with the person who affected me. So I told her a story about how I was driving and it's peak morning traffic and the yellow line is always something to cross. I'll accept that is not something good to do. You shouldn't do that. You should not do that. You should not cross the yellow line, no matter how late you are. Stay within your lane. But I did that day. And I expressed to her that this instance was not the first. It was another. Where I was driving on the yellow line to push my arrival time at work. And this Afrikaans man, this white man, I'm not going to say Afrikaans because I don't know if he was maybe Afrikaans or maybe, I don't know, Portuguese, I don't know. But he was so mad at the fact that I'm driving on the yellow line. So he decided to cross the yellow line himself to stop me from continuing to drive on the yellow line. And somehow I found a way, because the road extended in my favor, to bypass him and get in front of him. But when I bypassed him, and as I was passing him to get ahead of him and back into the road, he was so livid. He gave me the middle finger. The bro flipped the bird on me. So I asked my colleague now what she thinks as a white person about this man's reaction. Does it have to do with white privilege in any way? What does she think is the reason why this man was so livid with me to the point where he flipped the bird? So that is just an example of a conversation you can have regarding the differences and regarding the history that we've come from and the history we are recovering from. So in a nutshell, what I'm saying, without really going into the response I got from my colleague, is to encourage you to have the uncomfortable conversations. The ones where you have to say, I don't fully understand your experience, but I want to. Those conversations are where actual building happens. And learn your history, man. Not just the parts that make you feel good or validated. Learn all of it, as much as you can, at least. A generation that doesn't know where it came from will keep accepting things that it doesn't want to accept or doesn't have to accept, and keep making mistakes it doesn't have to keep making, without ever understanding that there is another way. Hector Pieterson was only 12 years old. He didn't get to grow up. He didn't get to build a career. He didn't get to fall in love, find purpose, or make something of his life. He was just a 12-year-old. And the freedom you have right now to be on YouTube, to be thinking about your purpose, to be building your life on your own terms, is in some part a consequence of the sacrifice made by children who never got the chance to do what you're doing right now. I know that's a lot to carry, but I also think it's a lot to be grateful for and a lot to be responsible with. So with this, we are all Spider-Man, because with great power comes great responsibility. So yes, Braai today, sleep in, enjoy the public holiday. Your ancestors earned that rest. But while you're at it, know why you have it. And do at least one thing today, however small, that adds to the legacy of the people who bought it for you. Subscribe to the Daily Development Dose, and you will be hearing from me tomorrow. And a happy Youth Day to you all.